Artemis here. If your growth as a leader has slowed or plateaued, it's not because you lack the right strategies or tools. It's because something in your structure and identity cannot contain the level of power to rise. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 obstacles every leader must face to achieve greater alignment, build coherence, and expand their capacity. Stay tuned. Artemis here, founder of Sovereign Training Systems. This is your first time tuning in. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and let's talk about capacity. Now, one of the core principles of Sovereign is to increase alignment. You must unveil the mask. Alignment builds coherence. Coherence expands capacity. And with alignment and coherence, you can sustain the capacity to contain power. And so many leaders out there are trying to expand capacity without alignment and coherence. And this presentation today is about the 3 obstacles that are in your way to rise to that next level. Remember, I said that it's not the right strategy, the right tools. Sometimes your structure and identity is not at the right level to contain the power that God is asking you to rise into. Sometimes you need to shift your orientation and create a new identity and architecture of leadership. So much of what we teach at Sovereign is based on orientation and architecture. This isn't personal development. This isn't mindset. This isn't more hacks, more supplements, more tools. This is about identity, orientation, architecture through alignment, coherence, and capacity. And these are first principles of leadership in alignment, leadership in coherence, where you're not sacrificing your body for the sake of physical health. You're not burning out. You're actually regenerative and can sustain alignment and coherence and continue to build capacity without fracturing, without collapsing. So many leaders, when they try to expand capacity, they collapse, they fracture. And there's a reason for this. It's because of misalignment, the wrong orientation, and a lack of the proper architecture. Now, one of the first traps that leaders experience is sedation. The second one is the drift, and the third one is the tunnel. You may want to get out some pen and paper and take notes because this is super, super powerful. For those of you watching, if you're an accomplished leader, you've built teams, you built businesses, you know what I'm talking about here, but you may not have put words to it yet. So I'm going to give you a language. I'm going to give you a way of understanding some of these patterns so you can see archetypally, symbolically, how to move to your next level. Because everything is structural and everything is based on orientation and architecture. What got you here as a leader won't get you there. If your body is suffering, you're in decision fatigue, you're in the drift, you're in the tunnel. There are certain things that we face that are such an unconscious obstacle that we need to make we need to make what is unconscious conscious so we can stop living fate and start fulfilling our destiny. Carl Jung said, until we make the unconscious conscious, the outer world will rule our life, and we call it fate. So you can live by fate unconscious with these 3 patterns, the sedation, the drift, and the tunnel, or you can make them conscious, and you can start to move through your life with alignment, coherence, and capacity. Now, for those of you who need to do a deep dive into where you are leaking power and how to reclaim your power, look below this video or in my bio for a link to the Sovereign Power Quiz where you can learn where power is leaking and how to reclaim that power in your life, your business. For those leaders who have accomplished a lot, who have built teams, you know what I'm about to present to you, and it's pain. Pain is a part of growth. The pain of the hustle, the extensions, the late nights, the pain of stretching, taking financial risks, taking emotional and mental risks. Growth includes pain. Pain is a part of growth. But sometimes the pain of the next level in our life is so big. Remember I said it's not more strategy, more tools. It's sometimes your current identity and structure cannot contain the power of you to rise. So what do? We look at that pain, we sense it, but we haven't named it yet, but we can sense it that next level is too painful. So I'm going to sedate where I am. And sedation looks like Netflix, staying up late at night, watching Netflix. Sedation looks like THC, alcohol, nicotine. Sedation looks like chasing nature, chasing pleasure, chasing sex, seeking pleasure at the avoidance of pain, and sedating pain through activities that aren't helping us find alignment and coherence and capacity. Sometimes the growth to the next level is so painful that we sedate. Now, unfortunately, for many people watching this, if you're not a leader, we live in a world of sedated warriors. Most men actually live sedated, sedating with food, pornography, drugs, alcohol. Leaders don't sedate until they get to a certain level when the identity has to shift, when they have to unveil the mask. They have to stop being the hero. They have to stop being the protector. They have to stop being the alpha, and they have to start rising to that next level. And that next level is so painful that they just sedate. And sedation must be addressed through alignment, clarity, and certainty. So if you are sedating right now, watching this right now, you need to do three things. First, you need to realize, who am I without my mask? The hero, always trying to save the day and protect and lift people up, defining yourself by what you do instead of who you are. The protector, the guardian, always trying to keep everyone safe and protect people at the cost of your own health. You're always giving and giving to keep everyone safe and fed and protected, but you suck at receiving because you're always giving. These masks that we carry is misalignment. If you stay in misalignment too long as a leader with the mask, the pain of the mask is so big that you start to sedate the pain. And all you need to do is see, what mask am I wearing and how can I unveil this mask, integrate it, and activate my soul in my leadership. When the mask comes off, the soul emerges and alignment happens. This frees up energy in your nervous system to do more and to have more and to get coherent in your choices, in your actions, and in your partnerships. So with sedation, you need to unveil the mask. Then you need to get clarity and certainty. And this is really important for all leaders: clarity and certainty from alignment. Not clarity and certainty from being a people pleaser or a hero or a protector guardian, but clarity and certainty from who am I without the mask. That's the clarity and certainty you're looking for to stop sedating. The second obstacle to leadership is what we call the drift. Now, the drift happens to all of us. The drift comes and goes. And in order to stop drifting, we have to come into alignment and coherence. Now, the drift can sometimes look like productivity. You're just doing the same thing every day, going through the motions with your business, your team, but you're not elevating. You're not penetrating the marketplace. You're not expanding and touching more lives because you're just in a drift. And the drift often leads to sedation, and sedation leads to drift. And the drift is a loss of clarity. The drift is overwhelm. The drift is resting on your laurels. Like I did it. I'm at the top and I'm just going to drift here from here on out. And when you're in a drift, sometimes it actually feels okay. Like, okay, I can stay here for a while. But then at the back of your mind, something is calling you to expand, to grow. But then you've got these challenges with loss of clarity, decision fatigue, overwhelm, chronic overextension. Maybe you're spinning too many plates in your leadership. You're overextended. And now that overextension, that loss of clarity has got you drifting for a while. And some people have been drifting for months and months, some for years. Remember, I said it's not more strategies and tactics. The structure and identity of who you are as a leader cannot contain the next level of power. So what do? We just drift. We just stay comfortable. And so as you are getting clear, as you start gaining clarity, clarity leads to certainty, and certainty leads to execution. But it must come from alignment. If you're in a drift, the two most important things are to reduce noise. Number one, reduce noise. Clear external distractions like emails that don't move you towards your 30-day targets. Turn off all notifications in your phone. Get 2 to 4 hours of uninterrupted time each morning in flow, creating value, refining systems, and building momentum. If you're in the drift, the first thing to do is to reduce noise and external pressure. The second thing to do if you're in a drift is get a mentor, get someone in your life who can show you where you're leaking power and where to reclaim alignment, coherence, and capacity, and lead from the soul and not from the mind. The reason we go into sedation and drifting is because our mind is dominant in our direction and leadership. Your mind is, I am what I have, I am what I do, I am what other people think of me. Your mind, your subconscious mind, is the person that makes choices. It's your ego. It's also known as the mask, the hero, the people pleaser, the protector guardian. You are not your mind. You are a soul with a mind. And in leadership, in sovereign power, coming into alignment and coherence means unveiling the mask and transforming your ego, your self-conscious mind, from the identity to the instrument to serve God. And this is the power of sovereign alignment, coherence, capacity. Coming into sovereign power means that you unveil the mask, you come into alignment, and the mind no longer has power over you or is directing your choices. Because if you're only living from mind and not alignment, coherence, and soul, the mind eventually begins to beat you down. And this is why we see mental fatigue, neurological fatigue, reaching for stimulants, supplements, biohacks. You don't have a supplement or biohack deficiency. You have a neurological imbalance. Your nervous system has been living too long in the mind under the mask. And when you unveil this mask, when you recalibrate your nervous system, when you realize that I am a soul with a mind, say this with me now, I am soul, leading my life and business. It's not I think, therefore I am. It's I am, therefore I think. When you realize you're a soul with a mind, then your soul begins to emerge through sedation and the drift. You become a soul alive, a soul erupting into sovereign power, alignment, and coherence in your leadership. When this happens, you have clarity of vision, clarity of values, clarity of mission, clarity of genius. Your soul is your genius. Your genius is what gives you flow. Your vision, your values, and your genius all connect to your mission. And with this clarity, you can push right through the drift into aligned action and execution based on alignment, coherence, and capacity. And this is the value of coming into sovereign power, alignment, and coherence. Now let's talk about the third trap, which is the tunnel. Now this one is the most sacred part of a leader's life. The tunnel is what we see in the movies known as the midlife crisis. You know, the man gets the success, buys the car, has the affair, loses everything, gains everything back. But not many people are speaking to this or talking about it in the reflection of leadership and mothers and fathers who are ready to grow and evolve beyond the mask. The tunnel is known as the descent into darkness, where when you're in the tunnel as a leader, one day you wake up and you begin to question everything. You wake up and you ask yourself, who am I? Why am I even here? You look back at the last 20 years of your life and suddenly none of it seems satisfying. And you're asking yourself, what was it all for? Was it even worth it? This is the tunnel. If you're feeling these feelings and asking these questions, you're in a tunnel. And the tunnel is descent into darkness. And the descent into darkness is so scary for men watching this right now. Both men and women go through tunnels, but a man defines himself by his identity and his direction in life. A woman defines herself by love and intimacy. So as a woman in her feminine expands through capacity, men magnify through capability, identity, and direction. It's a masculine energy. And so when a man enters the tunnel between the ages of 35 and 55, somewhere, depends on how much you hustled early in life. Some people start the tunnel early because they accomplished a lot by their 30s. Some people were later bloomers and they go in their 40s or 50s. There's no right or wrong time. There's just the time where you enter this tunnel. And as a man, it's the descending into darkness. The more dark the tunnel gets, the less you know about yourself. And this is the scariest thing for a man, is to lose his sense of identity. Because when a man loses his sense of identity, what happens? He loses himself. He loses the anchor to what makes his life meaningful, purposeful, and alive. So a lot of you have had a lot of passion and aliveness for the first 35, 45, 50 years, but then all the fire goes out and you wonder, where did it go? You're in a sacred time, a rite of passage if you're in the tunnel. This is the most sacred time. This is the time to reach out for mentorship, to deepen your walk with God, to feel guided, to understand alignment, coherence, capacity, to plug into sovereign training systems. We have one of the most powerful and effective systems for helping leaders get through the tunnel because it's based on first principles, it's based on God, and it's based on alignment, coherence, and capacity, orientation, identity, and architecture. When you are in the tunnel, you need to shift your orientation of how you see yourself in your life. It is a transformation of identity through letting go of the hero, the rescuer, the protector, the guardian, the people pleaser, and putting on the sovereign embodied man. You go from prince to king. You go from discovery, transformation to awakened leader. This is the other side of the tunnel. And you got to know where you are right now in language. If everything seems dark around you, you're looking for the light. So you find mentors, you find books, you find systems, but you realize that those lights at the end of the tunnel are not going to get you through the tunnel. You are the light in the tunnel that must awaken and rise from discovery to transformation to awakened. You actually have to shift your structure and orientation of your life. You have to see, who am I without this mask? Where is my clarity, my alignment, and my vision? Where is my genius? And how am I going to take my clarity, my vision, my genius, and reconnect it to my mission to serve God? This, if you're in the tunnel right now, it's a sacred time. It's a rite of passage. And the light at the end of the tunnel is the light of you, your soul, expressing, erupting through alignment. When the mask comes off, your soul emerges and you get to awaken to your true self. For those of you who know the work of Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, the movement of a soul from early stage life to middle life to late stage life. For men, we call this the page, the knight, the prince, the king, and the elder. So as men go through these stages, there are glass ceilings. And the glass ceiling of the tunnel is one of the hardest ones to penetrate. As you penetrate that glass ceiling and you enter the tunnel, it's a rite of passage for you to evolve as a soul, not as an ego. But your ego got you to where you are as a leader, but it won't get you the rest of the way. So you literally have to dissolve. And so as you dissolve, you unveil the mask, you go through this hero's journey, the call to adventure, and then you meet the guide. Merlin and Arthur, Gandalf and Frodo. Every movie is based on this analogy we call the hero's journey. And as you hear the call to adventure and you meet the guide, he shows you the way into the darkness, into the blackness, into the tunnel. But what happens along the way into the abyss? You drift, you sedate. So a lot of people have been, I have a friend of mine who's been in the tunnel for 9 years because he never had direction. He never knew the mask he was wearing. The hero, the rescuer was weighing him down for 9 years. And he kept working and serving all of his clients. But he just got more unhappy and more frustrated. And he started sedating with THC and marijuana. And this pattern of sedation and drifting became his life. And the way out was alignment. For those of us who are misaligned, trying to add more biohacks, more supplements, and more tools, you're not going to be able to heal from this sedation and this drift until you come into alignment. And that's key. Alignment builds coherence. Coherence then expands capacity. And with alignment, coherence, and capacity, we can contain power. With this alignment of your true self, your soul in leadership. When you go through sovereign power, what emerges is your soul, and then your soul begins to direct your life and business. You shift orientation, and you stop orienting under the mask, and you start orienting from your true self. And this is the sacred rite of passage. This is what everyone is being asked to do when they enter the tunnel, is let your ego dissolve. Transform the ego and the mask from being the identity to the instrument to serve God. And then take enough action with mentorship, alignment, and coherence, and you will get to the other side of that tunnel, and you will literally be reborn. You will erupt with soul fire. You will have clarity like you've never had before, and you will start making different choices. And your next highest potential will reveal automatically. This will help you in your sales, your communication, your ability to impact others, your ability to lead with authenticity, is because you know who you are. You know how you serve. You're not the hero. You're not the rescuer. You're not the people pleaser. You're not the protector. You are a soul on fire to lead and to live and to raise lives in your leadership. And this is the power of getting to the other side of the tunnel through sovereign power and alignment and coherence, is because you erupt, you become your true self, you begin to penetrate and elevate and activate your marketplace from authenticity, alignment, and sovereign power. So my name is Artemis, founder of Sovereign. Thank you for watching this video. For more information, check out the Sovereign Power Quiz below this video, and I'll see you in the next presentation. Bye for now.